Hello, everyone. Ken Tumolo with Tumolo Financial, and welcome to today's Tumolo Talk. Today's topic will be I-bonds. We've gotten quite a few questions about them as of late. I know some of you have already added some I-bonds into the picture, but really what makes them so interesting is the fact that there is a pretty good interest rate tied to them. So we'll kind of start off with why, or I should say, what are I-bonds? Basically, I-bonds are inflation index savings bonds. Available through treasurydirect.gov. So it's not something that I can go out and purchase for you, but I can help direct you where you can actually purchase them. Now, one of the things I want to point out is you can only purchase up to $10,000 per person. Okay. But the big thing with them is the current interest rate, because they're tied to inflation. The current interest rate right now is 9.62. Okay. And there's really no place else out there that I know of where we can get 9.62%. Now, it's only for a certain amount of time. We'll touch on that a little bit more. But one thing you can do with these I-bonds is you can gift them. So you can gift them to, loved ones, and they cannot lose value. So it's one of those few investments out there that we can say is safe. And again, it's available through treasurydirect.gov. It's a government website that you can go and order them through. Now, I know some of the banks claim they can actually get them, but from my understanding, it's just a paperwork nightmare. So it's the website. Pretty much that's where everyone's directing you to go. They're Series I savings bonds. Like I said earlier, it's a 9.62% rate right now, and they compound it semi-annually. What happens when you go out and you purchase these I-bonds is you get that rate for 6 months, all right? And then after 6 months, it looks at the next rate. So if that rate changes, let's say it goes up, let's say it goes to 10.5, then for the next 6 months after your initial 6 months, you would get 10.5. Let's say it goes down, and it goes down to 7.5, you'll get the lower rate for the next 6 months. Now, one thing to point out, yes, I know they're boring, they're safe, but the one thing is you do actually have to track them. And the reason why I bring that up is every 6 months your rate changes. So what happens if that rate drops all the way down to 1%? Do you think you want to stay in the savings bond? Maybe not. And I'll go over a few pieces of that in an upcoming slide on some of the penalties that you would be up to if you cancel these things earlier. But other than that, they're a pretty good tool. Let's say you've got a bunch of money sitting in the bank account that you're not using, still earning barely anything at the bank. This is a nice way to earn a little bit of money on that money. Taxes and penalties, and this is where I want to kind of point out a few things. One, they're federally taxed, no state tax. Secondly, you have the choice how you want to be taxed. You can pay the tax every year on the bond, or you can wait until you cash it in. Either or. Okay, so this way, if you're trying to control taxes and you're working right now and there's a lot of income coming in, but down the road there's not as much, you can kind of push this out and deal with the tax later on down the road. There is a way to avoid paying taxes if you used I-bond for a qualified education. So some of the musts, and this is really the penalty piece of it, but it's not as bad as I'm going to make it sound. It's actually a pretty good deal, I feel. If you don't want any penalty at all, you have to hold that I-bond for 5 years, okay? More than 5 years. Now, let's say you want to cancel it early. One thing I'll point out is if you cancel it early after 1 year, so between years 1 and 5, you only lose 3 months of interest. So remember that example that I talked a little bit about where I said, okay, well, if it drops down to 1%, as far as the interest rate, do you still want to hold that bond? Probably not. But just think of it this way. What you would do is hold that bond for 3 months at that low interest rate and then get rid of it. So this way you're only penalized a little bit. So just a different way of managing this I-bond right now. Take all the interest you can get from it. It's a lot better than the bank. But if you have to get out a little bit earlier after 1 year, then you're just trying to time it where you're not losing a lot of interest. So nice little tool. Other than going to the bank, trying to buy CDs still aren't paying a lot in interest. The interest rates are going up, which is a good thing. But this just gives you another way of making a little bit of money on that bank, or we'll call it that safe money. This was a big area that I felt that I should touch on. That's why I wanted to do the quick little Tumolo talk on it. Basically, I'm getting some questions on it. They're actually a good tool. If you're not sure about them and you have more questions about them, I'd be happy to answer them. Again, I can't go out and purchase them for you, but I can help give you direction. And a lot of times that's the part that some of us need. Hey, how do I do this? Or should I be doing this? Or does it even match my plan? A lot of times I run a projection for things to make sure things match up. Some of you just have some extra cash in the bank that it just looks like you're not going to spend for a while. So it's a nice little way to earn a little bit of extra money. So where we can help, if you have questions, feel free to call 860-650-3005. If you want to set up an appointment where it's just easier because you work during the day, or you might just have a lunchtime period off where that's the best time for us to talk, you can go right to our website, www.tumolofinancial.com, and just click on schedule an appointment. That way we just call and talk at the time that works best for you. Again, we've got additional Tumolo Talk videos coming out. They come out monthly. Again, you can actually even go to our website, and we've got a tab there that you can look at some of the past videos. Thank you, and have a nice day.